That's good propane selling music. I tell you what. Good morning, boys and girls. My name is Hank Hill, and I sell propane and propane accessories. I work for a living where men sell propane. Now, Mr. Pastor couldn't be with you today, so he hired me out. But I had to get some sponsors so I could get this nice screen and this lovely work light, which is great if you want to install a propane tank in the dark, which I highly recommend, especially if you're doing the tech for Heaven's Gates and Hell's Flames. I tell you, you can make a clean burning hell. I tell you what. Well, today's sponsors are Glade Air Freshener. Now, I tell you what, you don't need that if you got clean burning propane. The Ohio River Museum, where you can get a boat to haul propane and propane accessories. Dang it, Bobby, I told you not to do that. You better stop. I'll tell you what, we've also got your United States history teacher's favorite snack, Skittles. Today's activity will be going over a song by Bob Dylan called My Back Pages. Now, normally, I don't endorse hippies, but I do like this song. Even if some people think it's for the birds. If you can explain that joke, email Mr. Pastor for a bonus point. Now, 1 second, and I'll get the poem right up here on the screen. All right. Now, I know some of you play soccer, and I hate to let you know this, but soccer was invented by European women to embarrass their men. But on to the poem. I'll tell you what, I look at this whiteboard, it's so nice. It kind of reminds me of a nice propane tank, you know. If you actually shine the tank, it retains the heat. I'll tell you what, Bobby. All right. Crimson flames tied through my ears, rolling high and mighty traps. Now, Mr. Pastor said what you need to do is annotate this poem and put his annotations on there and add 5 more of your own. But make sure you specify my own in your comments or you won't get any points. I'll tell you what. Crimson flames tied through my ears. Now that can mean a whole lot of different things, boys and girls. But I tell you what, I think it means like you're just so angry. You can feel your heartbeat in your ears. You're young, you're angry, you're mad at the world. Pounce with fire on flaming roads, using ideas as my map. Now, sometimes in life, boys and girls, we get a little too caught up in our own ideas. People today call that being woke. Using ideas as my maps. This could be a metaphor for living too much in your mind. Okay, maybe it means you're ignoring reality. But who taught him to do that? Where do you learn to live for your ideas? I can't imagine, boys and girls. Certainly not at a propane dealer. We'll meet on edges soon, said I, proud neath heated brow. Proud. You know, pride can do a lot of good things, but pride can also be a sin, boys and girls, neath heated brow. So his anger and his pride are combining to form something. They're combining to form something. We'll meet on the edges. We'll meet. Now, you live on the edge. I'll tell you what, my son Bobby plays a song real loud, says, you're living on the edge. You can't help yourself from falling. Email Mr. Pastor for a bonus point if you could tell me who sang that. Okay? And if you don't want to do that, then dream on. We'll meet on edges soon. Maybe this is kind of a symbol of, pushing everything to the edge. When you live in your mind, boys and girls, reality doesn't matter. So you can push forward any extreme agenda you want. Left wing, right wing, doesn't matter. But I was so much older then, I'm younger than that now. This is obviously, and I don't think it puts the moron in it, boys and girls, but this is obviously an oxymoron or a contradiction or some kind of irony, okay? But what the heck does it mean? I'm not really sure. We're going to have to keep reading, boys and girls. All right, I'll tell you what, this guy may be a hippie, but he's starting to make some sense to old Hank Hill. A lot more sense than Dale, right, Boomhauer? Thanks, Boomhauer. I didn't understand a single word you said. Half-rack prejudice leaped forth. So he's accusing himself of having half-racked prejudice. Well, we know what prejudice is. It's judgment in advance, and that's never good, boys and girls. But half-rack, that's got to have a certain connotation, okay? Maybe it's, half-thought. It's not fully developed. Or maybe it's half-crazy, okay? Maybe he's been driven so mad by his heated brow, his pride, his crimson flames, that he's developed half-racked prejudice. And look what he says in his half-racked state of craziness. Rip down all hate, I scream. These are all one-syllable words, boys and girls, but the tone is vitriolic. Okay? Now you've got to get all these on there to get your points. The tone is absolutely vitriolic. He is so possessed by rage. Rip down all hate, I tell you what, I screamed. All right? Just like when my son Bobby kicked me and I screamed, "Oh!" Rip down all hate. Everything he sees is hate. Maybe he's impassioned. That's a good thing, boys and girls. Or maybe he's embittered. And don't we do that when we see everything in the world and we hate it because it's not what we like? I tell you what, I feel that way when I go to a home that doesn't have propane. Lies that life is black and white spoke from my skull. He's accusing himself of being a liar. That life is black and white. It's either all one or all the other. And what he's doing here is he's calling out his own hypocrisy. And don't we do that? We've got a literary allusion here, boys and girls. Romantic Facts of Musketeers. Okay, so the Musketeers, that could be allusion to Alexander Dumas and the Three Musketeers. But these romantic facts, and he just completely stops. Look at this oxymoron. How can a fact elicit romantic feelings? I mean, doesn't Ben Shapiro say that facts don't care about your feelings? I'm not sure. It does. He's not making much sense to himself, and he's calling himself out about it. Maybe he's so impassioned in his ideology. He's been so awakened, and he's woke up so much to all the problems in the world that he can't make sense to himself. Girls' faces form the forward path from phony jealousy. This is maybe a little bit of lightheartedness. The only thing that kept him going on was checking out the ladies. So that's his motivation. Okay, we had a young man talk about that in fourth period yesterday. But then he calls it phony jealousy. He faked being jealous to look cool. This is an extremely deep symbol, okay, for the damage of pride. And you can be so proud of your ideology, boys and girls. You can be so proud of your ideas. You can really try to portray yourself as being such a warrior for everything in the world that you hate, that you develop a jealousy that's even fake. Even your bad traits are fake. You don't know who you are, and he doesn't. Maybe that's why he was so much older then, but he's younger than that now. That his way of thinking was older, was more damaging, debilitated, out of date, because he saw everything in black and white, woke and unjust, oppressed and hateful, bigoted and everything was bad to him. It's scary. to memorizing politics of ancient history flung down by corpse evangelists, unthought of though somehow. And this is where we see the source, boys and girls, of some of his issues. Memorizing my politics. See that? Usually in politics, you're supposed to come up with your own view based on your own interpretation of the facts. And sometimes that could change your mind. But no, not if you memorize the politics. Okay? This is maybe another symbol of slavery to ideology. And your post-reading question is going to be about ideology. Okay? Maybe this is a symbol for his slavery to his ideology. That it's not what he believes based on the facts. He's got to fit in with everybody else that's raging against the man, that's raging against the status quo. And now he's not really believing anything, boys and girls. He's just playing a part. Okay? And it's flung down to him. It's been handed down by corpse evangelists, people who spread the gospel. Spreaders, I tell you what, you get some spreaders down at Wilson's Farm and Feed next to Strickland Propane. I tell you what, but these guys are spreaders of the gospel of death. Death to everything. Death to the system. Death to the patriarchy. Death to the oligarchy. Death to tradition. Death to the bigots. But there's no fulfillment in that. They're corpse evangelists, and all they lead to is death of your mind. But I was so much older than, the older you get, boy, the closer you get to death. I was so much older than. He was more endangered of killing his mind. But he's been rejuvenated because he's seen that by channeling and looking at everything in the world that he hates and focusing on that, all it did was make him older and closer to a death in his mind. Now we're going to erase all this, boys and girls. You can pause it if you need to get some of the notes down. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to get my handy dandy phone out here. That's right, I'm going to get my phone out here. I'm going to take a picture. I'm going to turn all the lights on. I'm going to take a picture. Now, I got this phone at Phones R Us, okay, in the Strickland Strip Mall next to Strickland Propane, where you can get propane and Dang it, Bobby, don't sneak up on me when I'm taking a picture. There we go. No selfie. Okay, I guess I have a countdown on my camera now. Stop it. Dang it. All I wanted was a picture. Let's try that again. Okay. Now, back to the show. Go to the 4th, 5th, and 6th verses. Don't forget, you've got to put 5 annotations of your own on here if you want to get any points, in addition to putting all of mine. And maybe I'll extend the career project. Let's see. All right. Let's scroll on down here with my handy dandy wireless keyboard. Oh yeah, here's the source of his ideology. Self-ordained professors. Okay, this is his education that has led, and we'll do an essay on this later this year possibly. An education is led to indoctrination, which has led to this ideology of hate. And we're not talking about, far right-wing bigoted hate, just hatred of the entire world, which has led to that older feeling. Okay? Too serious to fool. Sometimes people have no sense of humor. Spouted out that liberty is just equality in school. Now that is a fallacy, boys and girls. Obviously, liberty means more than just equality. But this is what he's been taught. So this is evidence of the brainwashing. Okay? They've turned liberty into a mathematical equation. Liberty equals equality. And by believing that, he became hateful. Because what he did was he oversimplified a complex concept. Equality, I spoke the word as if a wedding vow. Look at this. He gets so caught up in this buzzword. And don't we have that, boys and girls? Sometimes with words like equity or empathy or kindness or even pride. We talk about pirate pride. It's a positive thing, but pride also precedes a fall. I'll tell you what. But I was so much older than I'm smarter because I'm younger. And this is the paradox. Okay, this is the paradox. Okay, the more youthful you are in your mind, the better. And if you think, wasn't there a important figure or something that said, be as one of these like the little children? And maybe this is echoing that. He had so much education, or not so much education, but he swallowed so much indoctrination of this ideology of hating everything he sees in the world that it darn near sent him to death. I'll tell you what, saying that liberty is just equality. And if you oversimplify things, boys and girls, you can be capable of any atrocity in the world. You saw that in Anthem, I'll tell you what. Okay? When you dedicate yourself to a concept as if you're married to it, you get deluded, boy, I tell you what. In a soldier stance, I aim my hand at the mongrel dogs who teach. Where do we see this? The mongrel dogs who teach. What does mongrel mean? Okay, the dogs who teach. Okay, so this is maybe a little bit of his awakening. Okay, he realizes he's been indoctrinated, brainwashed to believe that everything he sees in the world is bad. And now he's reacting against it, and he's going to argue against it, and he's going to come up with his own views. Okay? Fearing not that I become my enemy in the instant that I preach. My existence led by confusion boats, mutiny from stern to bow. And this is what his mind is starting to go through. He is rebelling against relativism. See, relativism, boys and girls, is the view that there's no such thing as right and wrong. Okay? There's only bad, there's only the things that are unjust and the things that you want to change. And that everything that you see now is need of change. It's a very confusing doctrine. But he's rebelling against the relativism and more so the ideology of social destruction that he's been, party to. And now he's starting to rebel against it. My guard stood hard. What a great little internal rhyme here, boys and girls. When abstract threats too noble to neglect deceive me into thinking I had something to protect. Okay? So he was deceived that he had to protect the politics that he memorized. And this is how brainwashing works, boys and girls. And you see this today on the left, and you see it on the right. Thinking that you are some kind of soldier for social justice, or that you are some kind of warrior to make something great again, is just a deception. Because you're not thinking on your own, boy. Okay, you're not, it's not like it's propane and propane accessories, I'll tell you what. Okay, but you're being deceived into believing that you have to protect the ideology you've been indoctrinated with no matter what. Especially if facts come up that are inconvenient. Good and bad, now here's his kind of a conclusion. Good and bad, I define these terms quite clear, no doubt, somehow. This line indicates, this is an indication of true liberation. He's rejected the notion that good and bad are relative. He's rejected the notion that everything he sees in established society needs to be destroyed. And he's embraced the idea that the good and the bad are things that he's going to have to figure out. And this is that when you start to define things based on research somehow, based on experience, observation, reading, this is the beginning of liberation. That's a symbol here, the beginning of liberation, when you decide that you're going to define what you believe is good, what you believe is bad, and maybe there is going to be some flexibility. Maybe you're going to think like that kid Huck Finn, that setting your African American friend Jim free is a sin, and that you're going to go to hell because you tried to free an African American. But by the end of that novel, he comes to believe that what he thought was bad was really good. It's not that morals are relative, boys and girls. It's that you have to figure out on your own what's good and what's bad. You make that definition based on your life, your experience, your observation, and your reading. But you dang sure don't say there's no difference. There is a difference. You just got to learn it on your own, the hard way. Even if you have to repeat it 4 times to get it right, like in your chemistry class. I tell you what, they should use propane in there. But I was so much older then. I'm younger than that now. It's not that he's more innocent. It's not that he's lost weight and he can jump more. It's that he's taken his brain and liberated it from serving an ideology blindly. When you do that, boys and girls, it's like you watch one network or the other, and every view you have has to line up with one network, or every view you have has to line up with another network, and you're never allowed to think on the own network that God gave you between your ears. I'll tell you what, boy. So that's our little annotation activity for my back pages. Now, what I'd like you to do is put all my annotations on here, make 5 more on your own, title them on my own, and then answer the post-reading question that I have at the end. Have a good day, boys and girls, and don't forget, go to the Ohio River Museum. They use propane. That's a clean-burning museum, I'll tell you what. And do your U.S. history homework. Have a good day.